Hey hams, today on CQ Adventures we're going to dive into everything you need to know about digital modes. Digital modes are fun, simple ways that amateur radio operators can make contacts on the air without using their voice. In the most simplistic terms, a digital contact is as follows. A message is encoded on your computer into digital tones and frequencies, which is then sent with a transmit code to your radio to be sent over the air. Someone else who is doing the same digital mode on the same frequency will receive that message. It will be sent from their radio to the computer, which then the software will decode. It's almost like texting over HF, but a little bit different. Now, there are two very popular modes, which everyone has almost certainly heard of, FT8 and FT4. FT8 uses frequency tone shifting with 8 tones to create the message. Now, FT4 is exactly the same, but using 4 tones instead of 8. FT8 also has a transmission and receive period of 15 seconds each, whereas FT4 is half that at 7.5 seconds each. And both of these use predetermined messages such as call sign, grid square, and RST report. Now, on the other hand, there's also modes such as PSK and JS8 call. These are both keyboard-to-keyboard modes, meaning you have the total freedom to type whatever you want to go out over the air. This is more like texting than FT8 and FT4 is. With PSK and JS8 call, you're practically having a full blown-on conversation like you would on voice, but over digital. So now I want to jump in and show you a little bit of both WSJT-X, which is the software that you use to run FT8 and FT4, as well as FLDigi to run keyboard-to-keyboard QSOs. So here we're in WSJT-X, and as you can see, there's a lot going on. I've had it running in the background. So the first thing to note is up here. This is going to be your waterfall. This is going to show you where there's signals coming in or messages that you're receiving, as well as the noise in the background by the different intensities of blue throughout the waterfall. Down here on the upper left hand side, this is going to be all the messages you are receiving throughout the entire bandwidth. Now, the bandwidth for FT8 and FT4 is very small. Therefore, as you can see up here, you really don't have anything at all past 1,000 hertz, or anything really above 3,000 hertz. Next to this decoding window is your receive frequency decoding window. So I have my receive set to 1494 hertz. So what this window is only showing what's coming in on that sliver of the bandwidth. And as you may see, there's a lot of activity here. On the left here is the call sign being called to, while on the right hand side is going to be the call sign calling out, as well as your grid square in some of them and the RST report. And not every transmission, as you can see, shows you where the transmission is coming from. That is something that can be set up when you set up WSJT-X. I found a lot of people do use it and a lot of people don't. It's up to each person. Down here below, you're going to see the different bands. All you have to do is click on these, which I'm not going to do since I have everything set for 40 meters. But you can go through and click and automatically change your band you are using. And this is set up through your configurations. You'll use the rigging software that comes as a part of WSJT-X, which is different than FLDigi. And when I get to FLDigi, I'll explain that a little bit more in more detail. Down here in the bottom right is going to be your predetermined messages. So just to show, I typed in November 8, November Victor, India, and when I can hit generate standard messages, and it will automatically fill these out to automatically go through. So if you see someone calling CQ, it will send this message first. It will send their call sign, your call sign, and your grid square. When they respond, they should respond with your call sign, their call sign, and the signal report. After that, you will send their call sign, your call sign, Roger, and the signal report. Once they give you, some people will send a Roger, Roger 73. Some people just send 73. But WSJT-X will go through all this automatically. It'll prompt you to log, and you can log. If you use logging software like N1MM, you can pair N1MM to WSJT-X to auto-log your contacts, so you don't have to. So now I'm going to go through a QSO, hopefully, to show you what it's like to go through a QSO on FT8. So I'm going to wait for this cycle, which you can see down here, to go through. And then I will try to make a QSO with this Whiskey 3 Bravo Oscar Oscar call. And while we're here, this is what FT8 sounds like. So that's what FT8 sounds like. And now I'm calling out to Whiskey 3 Bravo Oscar Oscar. And we'll see if we can get him to call back. It should work. He's coming in at a plus 13 over the sound, the noise floor. He's in New York. Well, he's either in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, or New Hampshire. And unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to get him because he called out to someone else. So now I'm going to jump over to FT4 and show you FT4. So now we're into FT4. It's as simple as clicking the FT4 button down here. I did hit erase just so we didn't have those FT8 messages in our decoding window. Unfortunately, I can do it in the receive frequency by right clicking and hitting erase. So we'll see if I get anything here. If not, I may go up to 20. It doesn't look like I'm having any luck, so jump up to 20 and tune. We're in tune. And this tune button, if you do have a tuner, it will, if you have an auto tuner, excuse me, will tune the antenna system. So here we can see we are seeing calls. So FT4 is similar to FT8. It's going to be the same protocol, but as mentioned earlier, it's 4-tone frequency shift keying. And it's going to run for 7.5 seconds. As you can see, the gaps are a little shorter. So let's try to make a contact with Kilo 3 Zulu Kilo. Now, as I said, this is 7.5 seconds, so it shouldn't take as long. But over here you can see I'm sending out my message to him. See if he gets back on this one. I'll give it 1 or 2 tries. And the nice thing with FT4 over FT8 is it's faster. So a lot of times for someone, if you're doing contest, FT4 is a lot better. As we can see, he came back to me with a -11. So it's auto sending for me, Roger -8. And then, yep, there he says Roger, Roger. And it prompts me to log it in this screen. Now, I'm running 35 watts. If you're running another amount of watts, you would put that there. So for me, I'm gonna hit OK, and it's gonna auto send it. Also, while we're talking about FT8 and FT4, there's a really great tool online to help you see propagation. Now this is called PSK Reporter. I'll have the link in the description. You put in the call sign. If I hit go, when I was on FT8, this is where I was being heard. This cone is going to be your propagation, or where you were heard. If I switch this to FT4, it's going to show where I was heard. So I was being heard all the way out on the West Coast. I was heard down in Brazil, and I believe that was it. Yes. So this is a really good tool. If you're not sure if you're not getting out because no one's coming back to you, I suggest hopping into PSK Reporter, putting in the band you're on, the mode, and hitting go. This will show you where you're being heard, where you're not being heard, and so on. So now let's move over to FLDigi. So here we are in FLDigi. So for FLDigi, it's a little bit different than WSJT-X. Now in WSJT-X, the rig control is automatically built into the software. Now here on FLDigi, as you can see, there's also a program called FLRig. FLRig will be the connection between your computer and your rig. So as you can see here, it says I'm using the FT991A, which is true, that is my rig, as well as the frequencies you're on, which VFO you're using, if you're running split mode, if you're using data mode, and whatnot. So I'm going to put this back over here. Now, as you can see, it just sent a little bit of gibberish, which is typical. So if we come in here, I can click above or below the number to get it to change. So on 20 meters, you're going to be using data upper sideband. And I have my bandwidth set to 3000. Down here, you also have a virtual squelch. So you can actually change, if you're getting a lot of gibberish, you can change this and fine tune it in. Now, one thing with this is it's keyboard to keyboard. So it's no predetermined messages. Now down here, you can have predetermined messages. So like down here, you'll see things I have. So CQ, answer, QSL, sign off, direct call, again, and all that. So right now, I'm just going to send a test message out on 14090 megahertz. Let me just see that there's nothing happening. Nope, don't hear anything. So now I'm going to send out a test call. So all I have to do is hit test. I'm using 8 PSK 250. That's what we use around here for our emergency tests. In fact, next week we'll be having a nuclear preparedness test, since we do live really close to a couple nuclear reactors here in Pennsylvania. We also do a test every Monday night after our normal net. So I'm going to hit test, and it should transmit out on the radio my message, and you'll see what's being sent here, and then up here what is sent. So here we go. So that was my message sending, as you heard. That is what BPPSK, 8 PSK sounds like. Very digitized. When you send longer messages, it'll be scratchier at the end. So that is something to note. Now I'm going to hop over on here onto CW to show you the capabilities of CW with FLDigi. So now we're on to the CW portion. Unfortunately, I do have to turn the radio up. FLDigi requires you to have the volume up on the receiver. That's what it uses for the waterfall down here and to receive messages. But as you can see, it does decode. If I turn my virtual squelch up here a little more. Oh, now it's not showing it. In any case, let me turn this up and see if it will decode. Oh yeah, there it goes. You can see it decoding. It's not the most accurate, but I'm going to turn it up and show you how it works. So as you can see, it does decode. It's not very accurate. I don't recommend it, especially because when you learn CW, you shouldn't be learning it by what you see. You should be learning it by what you hear. But thank you for watching the video. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you like the content that I am putting out. And we will see you on the next adventure. 73.